Welcome students, welcome to the class of estimation, costing and specifications. So, as we are discussing the topic called contract, we have seen the different types of contract, and now let us talk about this contract document. Okay, in this lectures let us talk about this contract documents. So, what is the meaning of contract document and what all it consists of? Okay, the contract document generally follows a standard format. What standard format? It has set of what we can say forms to be attached in serial numbers. First this has to be attached, second next form has to be attached. So, it follows a standard format. It consists of the contract agreement on a non-judicial stamp paper of prescribed value, and the following set of documents, each page of which is signed by both by the owner and the contractor. The following the following is the format or these things. The following things are included in the contract document. The first is cover page and title page. Okay. So, what is all this contract is about? What is the site conditions and all? What is all about? First we add a cover page and title page to it. The next is content page. The third is notice inviting tender. Okay, notice inviting tender, which we have asked the contractor to bid. Then we have to add a tender form. Okay, then schedule of issue of materials. Who will be issuing the materials? What a contractor has to issue the materials. What owner has to issue the materials. That all things has to be looked over here. The next is drawings, specifications. Specification both consist of general specification and detailed specification, as well as conditions of contract. So, these are nothing but this all together is known as contract documents. Okay, this all forms or this all papers together known as contract document. What are those? The first is cover page or title page. Then next we need to include the contents page, notice inviting tender, tender form, schedule of issue of materials. We need to we need to place schedule of issue of materials. Drawings, we need to talk about drawings. Specifications, specifications are of both type, general specification and detailed specification, as well as conditions of contract, also we need to include. So, next when we talk about the important conditions of the contract, while the contract is being signed by both parties, that is owner and the contractor, some important conditions has to be mentioned. What are those conditions? Let us see. Those conditions can be studied under the head of important conditions of the contract. So, what are conditions of the contract? The first is time of completion. The first is time of completion, whether 18 months, 24 months or so on. This time of completion has to be mentioned in the contract. This time of completion has to be mentioned in the contract. Okay, this time of completion, if the time of completion is not mentioned in the contract, in that scenario the contractor will not complete it. The contractor delays the construction of the work according to his what I can say convenience and all, and owner will be suffering the loss. So, time of completion of the project is very mandatory. The next is delays and extension of time. What if delay? Suppose the project has to be handled in 18 months. What happens if it goes to 20 months or 24 months? Whether the contractor has to pay any whether contractor has to pay some penalty for the extension of time, or how much the extension of the time is permissible without paying any penalty for contractor. Those all things has to be discussed in delays and extension of the time. The next is penalty. As I have said that penalty can be either for non-completion of the work in the desired time, or it may be due to the faulty work which he has done. Okay. So, in that scenarios contractor owner can lay penalty on contractor or vice versa. contractor can also lay penalty on owner, so that if he does not give payments on time, what all things happens. So the penalty issues can be raised by both of the parties. The next is compensation for delay in completion of projects. Compensation for delay in completion of project. If this thing happen, if the delay is very much large, suppose the project has to end in 18 months, let us say 20 months or 22 months. If it is taking beyond more than 10 months or what, the owner is suffering the huge loss for that. So what are the compensations for delays, okay, in the completion of the project? That has to be discussed. Liquidated damages. What do we mean by liquidated damages is, so the meaning of liquidated damages are nothing but, see what happens, suppose if there is a breach of contract between the contractor and the owner. So at the here the upper there should be a upper hand of owner in any of the project. So liquidated damages are nothing but, contractor what he will be doing, he will be paying some, if breach of contract happens, if the work has to be executed according to the plan or specification, if that does not happen, of any of the conditions from above condition of the contract has been breached. So what happens, the amount which is security deposited of a contractor, what happens, it gets fortified. So that all comes under liquidated damages. The next is debitable agency. What do we mean by debitable agency is the same over here. If the contractor suddenly stops work doing, or he is unable to execute the work which has been given to him by the owner, so what happens, a certain amount from the security deposits will be fortified. So those criteria also comes under this debitable agencies. Valuation of variations. What do we mean by valuation of variations? Suppose according to the contract, there should be a 2 BHK flat without drawing room. So what happens, later owner has decided that it has to include one drawing room also in that 2 BHK flat. So what will be how much he has to pay extra amount to the contractor, or how much contractor will be charging. So those will comes under valuation of variation. Those terminology will get it from valuation of variation. The next is settlement of disputes. If any sort of disputes arises between two parties which are enforced by the agreement, so whether they should go for any committee, they will how to settle that disputes, those conditions will be laid, whether there will be some intermediate persons who will be solving these disputes. Okay, so the settlement of disputes also comes under condition of contract. Force majeure and natural disasters. What happens if suddenly earthquake occurs or natural disasters occurs? Okay, so then who will be the responsible? How much contractor will be responsible for that? How much owner will be responsible for that? In that worst case scenarios, what should be the decisions should be taken? That will be included here. The next is price escalation. Suppose if there is a drastically increase in the price of the building materials, or a fall in the price materials, whether the contract rate, whether the rate discussed in that contract will be same, or whether it will be increase or decrease. So on what basis it has to increase, or on what basis it has to decrease, that deciding principles has to be mentioned over here. Termination of the contract. What if the contractor at the middle, if any of the both parties, whether it might be a owner or it might be a contractor, if they want to terminate a contract in the middle of the execution of the work, so what will be the consequences? What owner has to pay if he is terminating the contract, or else what the contractor has to pay the penalty for the termination of the contract? Those all comes under this termination of contract. Let us discuss more about this. Time of completion. The contractor is required to complete the work within agreed time of the completion, which is specified in suitable unit of time, either year, 1 year, 2 year, either months, 12 months, 18 months, or week, 24 weeks, 20 weeks, 50 weeks. Okay. The contractor is also required to maintain proportionate progress of the work. At the end of the week 1, this much 10% of the total 100% has been done, or 5% of the total work has been done. So this proportionate progress of the work has to be maintained by the contractor. Delay and extension of the time. Okay. Delay in completion of the work not attributed to the contractor should be brought to the notice of the owner by the contractor in writing within the time specified in the contract for seeking extension of the time. The owner will satisfy himself that the delay is not an account of lapse on the part of the contractor before granting suitable extension of the time. Here the delays can be of delays and extension of the time may be due to the negligence of the contractor sometimes, or sometimes due to what we can say, unseen problems. Okay. So if the reason is genuine, suppose if it is a continuous rain, okay, and the contractor unable to execute the work on the site, then it is not the fault of the contractor, it is due to the nature thing, he is unable to execute the work. So in that scenarios, there won't be any sort of penalty. There the contractor requests the owner for the extension of the time, and the owner, after satisfying when the contractor is asking for extension of the time, he has to give in return to the owner, explaining by writing the details for what reason the time he is asking for an extension of the time. If the owner is satisfied with those clauses or those written things which those said words of the contractor, whether he will if it is satisfied that yes, he is genuinely asking for extension of the time, it is not his fault, then the owner may be granting it the suitable extension of the time which the contractor has asked without laying any sort of penalties. So when we talk about penalty, third one, it is a fine imposed on the contractor for non-fulfillment of his contractual obligation, such as failure to maintain required progress of the work, delays in the completion, poor quality, bad workmanship. So if any in this area, okay, for any of in this area, if the owner is not satisfied, then owner can lay penalty on contractor, such as failure to maintain required progress of the work, delay in completion, poor quality, or bad workmanship. What do we mean by bad workmanship? The laborers, those who are working on the site, or the product is not as in the finished manner as desired one. So for that we will call it as bad workmanship. The next is compensation for delay in completion of the work. The contractor is liable to pay compensation to the owner for delay attributed to him in completion of the work. The amount of compensation may be stated as a percentage of the estimate cost of work for each unit of time delay. The maximum limit of compensation may be 10% of the contract price. For example, the contractor said that he will be completing a desired project in 30 months. Okay. And if he has extension of time for 2 months, which is granted by owner for free of cost without laying the penalty. So at the end of 32 months also, if the contractor is not fulfilling the work, whereas in the contract document he has estimated that time of completion of the project is 30 months only, then the owner can lay a penalty or may ask for compensation for the delay of completion of the work to the contractor till the 10% of the actual contract price, till the 10% of the actual contract price. This will be discussed by simultaneously this percentage of compensation for delay in completion work will be mutually agreed by owner and contractor, or it may be written in the contract documents. Next is liquidated damages. When I talk about liquidated damages, it is a fixed stipulated sum payable by the contractor on account of penalty for delays and does not bear any relationship to the real damage to the owner. Here we are not talking about any real damage. Okay, it is a fixed stipulated sum payable to the contractor on account of penalty for delays and does not bear any relationship to the real damages to the owner. It is generally high and fixed per day for excess period over the specified the contract for completion of the work. Those things comes under liquidated damages. When we talk about debitable agency, whenever the contractor fails to fulfill his contractual obligations in respect of progress or quality of the work, even after giving due notice by the owner, okay, it becomes necessary to appoint a debitable agency. So, what does this debitable agency looks after? This debitable agency, what this debitable agency does is, what does this debitable agency does is, it gives the when the owner, after giving written notices to the contractor, when the contractor is not replying to that notices or not doing work according to that, this owner and contractor both hire one debitable agency, one committee to discuss whose fault is this. This will be done at the cost, at the expenditure of contractor's money. Okay, the owner won't be paying for anything for this debitable agency. So, this owner and contractor move to a third party, to a mediator or intermediate person to discuss. The owner says that on giving written notices also he is not doing so and so work, and the contractor will also explain the things what he is facing. So, the debitable agency will come into conclusion that who is responsible, whether owner is responsible for this dispute, for delay of this work, or whether the contractor is responsible for that. What money what this agency decides, that will be the final. This agency is a firm of labor or other contractors to fulfill the contractual obligations of the main contractor. The expenses incurred are charged from the bill or security of the original contractor. The next, when we talk about valuation of variations, the valuation of variation is based on change orders issued in writing by the owner. As I have already said, if there are any variations, so on what basis the contractor will charge the owner, that has to be discussed. The valuation of the variation is based on the change order issued in writing by the owner. Generally, the variations in individual items of work should not be more than 25%, and variation in total cost should not exceed 10%, because in this scenario what happens, either the owner will be in the loss or sometimes the contractor will be in the loss. So, generally the variation in the individual terms of work should not be more than 25%, or total variation should not exceed 10%. Settlement of disputes. Efforts should be made to resolve dispute amicably between the owner and the contractor through mutual discussions and negotiations. Arbitration clause may be incorporated in the contract to settle dispute not resolved through mutual discussions and negotiation. So, first of all, whenever any dispute arises between two parties enforced under a agreement, they should come with a mutual discussions. Okay, they should comes under it should be, those disputes should be solved by mutual discussions. If that also does not happens, we can go for a intermediate person. If that also not happens, then those disputes can be solved in the court of law with arbitration clause. Force majeure and natural disasters. Natural disasters as an act of nature such as unprecedented floods, rainfalls, earthquake, hurricanes, typhoons, etc. Okay. Fire hazards also. These disasters, along with the occurrence of riot, civil commotion, revolt, are beyond the control of the contractor and may lead to the financial and the time loss. The contractor should obtain an insurance policy for such risk as can be covered by the insurance. In event of financial or time loss, contractor can claim compensation and extension of time. So, basically in this scenario, if this natural account of force majeure and natural disaster, if it has to be in account of contractor, then it is better for a contractor to insure that project. What happens after insuring the project is, so if any natural disasters occurs, those company to whom with whom insurance policy has been made, they will be responsible. Okay, they will be responsible for the loss of the owner, and contractor can escape from those problems. The next is price escalation. When we talk about the price escalation, during work execution, labor wages let the labor wages be L, material prices be M, and the petrol or lubricant cost will be around F, may increase as a result of inflation. Inflation is nothing but increase in cost or decrease in cost. We will be calculating variations. We will be calculating the variation of the X, variation of Y, and variation of Z. Compensation for escalation is normally worked out quarterly interval. Suppose I have given this, it happens, generally happens for long running project or very large scale projects where the material price constantly fluctuates. So what happens? Quarterly fluctuations is measured, and how much the value has been increased apart from the contractual price, this escalation price will be given to the contractor. Termination of contract. In the event of default or bankruptcy of the contractor, what happens? He goes for termination of the contract. Default includes abandoning the work, failure in progress, non-observation of rules, instruction, etc. Due notice served before the termination of the contract. Whoever is terminating the contract, either it might be from owner side or it might be from contractor sides. A due notice has to be served before that, from so and so period our contract will be terminated, and what are the compensation of the contract that has to be given to the most affected party. So this was all about the important conditions of the contract and contract documents. Hope you people have understood this topic. And in the contract things, we have some special contracts also. Let us see what all special contracts are. The first is turnkey contract. Next is package contract. Third is negotiated contract, continuing contract, running contract, and FIDIC contract. So these are nothing but special contracts. Apart from what contracts we have seen, we have in previous class we have seen about different types of contract. So we had lump sum contract, we have lump sum contract, and cost plus percentage contract, cost plus fixed fee contract, so on. We have seen these are nothing but our special contracts. Okay, these are special contracts: turnkey contract, package contract, negotiated contract, continuing contract, running contract, and FIDIC contract. So let us see what is turnkey contract. Turnkey contract is about, under this contract what happens is, the contractor carries out all the engineering, procurement, and construction, providing the fully equipped facility ready for operation at the turn of the key. At the turn of the key, what does it mean? You have to send, the agreement is between owner and the contractor. Owner send required all the money to the contractor. What contractor does, everything he executes the building totally and hand over the key to him. The owner goes and opens the key. He finds everything according to the according to the earlier discussions. So this type of contract is called turnkey contract. Under this contract, what happens? The contractor only performs all these EPC activities. What do you mean by EPC? Engineering, procurement, and construction activities. Okay, providing fully equipped facility ready for operation at the turn of the key. It is integrated contract in which all the works related to civil, electrical, mechanical, etc. are in the hands of main contractor. Also, the main contractor takes total responsibility from the planning to commissioning the stage. the owner need to coordinate the work of different subcontractors. What is the just duty of the owner? Just he need to keep a track whether the things are going smoothly or not. Just he takes or coordinates with different subcontractor. So this form of contract is known as turnkey contract. So next is about the package contract. In the package contract, what happens is two or more related jobs, each of which form a separate contract, are combined as a single contract. For example, for design and development, one authority will be doing the design and development, construction will be executed by some other department, maintenance will be done by some other department. So what happens if we are dealing with only one person, so we make the contract for design and development also, construction also, maintenance also. We club all this together. Plan of work and standards are established and the work is carried out accordingly by the contractor. The main contractor is responsible for safeguarding the owner's interest, and for this reason prior approval of design and technical aspects has to be taken from the owner. Responsibility for the correctness of the design lies with the main contractor. What happens is responsibility for the correctness of the design lies with the main contractor. Our next contract is negotiated contract. In negotiated contract, what we do is, in this type of contract, negotiation across the table take place between the representatives of the owner and the main contractor for the project cost as well as other conditions of the contract. While continuing the contract, okay, new or additional work when is awarded on the basis of agreed terms and conditions of existing contract, okay, that is nothing but continuing of the contract. It requires no retendering, hence can save time and money. What do we mean by running contract? These provides goods and services at specified interval. Okay, suppose I will be contracting it for 1 year, I won't be constructing anything. Generally, it is done for procurement of materials. Okay, when I am constructing a building, the owner comes with agreement with me for just supply of materials. So whenever this owner needs material, what I do, I supply either in the form of fine aggregate, coarse aggregate or the cement, whatever it is. It goes throughout the length for 1 year or 2 years in this span of time whenever he needs me. So that sort of contract, procurement contract, which runs for years, that type of contract is known as running contract. The contract price is not fixed and the payment is based on the actual goods supplied and services rendered as specified in the contract document. The next one is special contract, FIDIC contract. What do we mean by, what is the full form of FIDIC is International Federation of Consulting Engineers. Okay, this contract is formulated by International Federation of Consulting Engineers, generally known as FIDIC. Okay, it is an international body. This was originally founded in 1913. Okay, and is also known as best known as the organization which publishes standard forms of contract documents. Every project has contract document consisting of part 1, which consists of general conditions, and part 2, conditions of particular application. It is very equitable form of contract, fair to both owner and contractor, and employs the principle of neutral engineer. What do we mean by neutral engineer? We should not be biased towards owner or we should not be biased towards contractor. We should be neutral at the part when there is a matter of contract. Okay, both rights, right of both owner and the contractor has to be protected. So this is so to enhance this, this International Federation of Consulting Engineers has established this contracts. So this was all about special contracts. Hope you people have understood this. Thank you.